Welcome everyone. My name is Ahuja. I work for IBM at the IBM Toronto lab, and here to talk to you about development and test and how to do it rapidly in the cloud. We did a survey of our customers, and these are mostly enterprise customers, Fortune 500 companies. And what we came across was that most of the development and test systems, the majority of these systems, more so the test systems, well, almost half of the company's infrastructures was dedicated to development and test. So the non-productive workloads was almost half of the systems in the company. And of these systems, they were running at very low utilization, sometimes as little as 2 to 3% utilization. And this isn't just utilization as in sitting idle most of the time because a developer comes in, does the development for 8-10 hours a day, and then goes home, or a test run is scheduled and some test buckets are running, and when the test buckets are completed, the system is sitting idle. So that is there too. But also the CPU utilization of especially the development systems was quite low. So a lot of the infrastructure of the companies, if almost half the infrastructure is being utilized for non-productive workloads, and of that 90% of the time it's not being fully utilized, then you've basically got systems, over almost half of your company's infrastructure is redundant. That is, you're paying for something that you're not really utilizing. And there's a perception that because these are non-productive workloads, that they're providing little business value. And there's a lot of pressures on CIOs to help bring in these, rein in the costs associated with development and test. Now, there are lots of workloads that people are running in the cloud. People are running all kinds of systems in the cloud. But when we talk to our enterprise customers, Fortune 500 companies, they are very skeptical about using public clouds for production workloads. And some of it might be psychological, some of it might be having to do with regulation, etc. Everyone, when we talk to these customers, most of them cite security concerns. Now, whether it's real security concerns or it's a matter of I'm going to lose control of, DB is saying I'm going to lose control of my databases if they go on the cloud, there is a lot of that as well. But everything gets bundled into, there are security concerns about running stuff in the cloud. So, and these companies don't tend to be the early adopters. They're going to try out, experiment in the cloud, they're going to do some development, they're going to do some testing in the cloud. And eventually, when they're more comfortable and the clouds have matured more, they might consider putting more mission-critical workloads on the cloud. So that's one reason when RightScale said we're working on putting together a development and test pack for our customers, we jumped on board. We've actually been working with RightScale for almost 2 years now. And in fact, we had server templates for RightScale out before we put out our own AMIs, because we saw a lot of value in the way RightScale does things. So in the RightScale Development and Test Solution Pack, you have libraries for different types of applications, application stacks, whether it be PHP, Java, Rails, .NET. And all of these technologies, by the way, do work with the underlying IBM infrastructure. So you've got a self-service portal where developers and testers can log in themselves and utilize configurations that have been approved by their companies and are available in their libraries. Start using them, make changes to them, pass it back and forth to others. And then there are administrators who can come in and customize these configurations and feed them back to developers and testers. Now, there are differences in typical development environments and test or QA environments, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. But now coming back to IBM. A lot of you might know of IBM, that is the IBM, the hardware company. The IBM that sells big iron. IBM that sells mainframes and big Unix systems. Well, there's also the other IBM, the part that I belong to, which sells software, or more precisely middleware. So our middleware stack, and we're actually number one in a lot of these middleware categories. So our middleware stack consists of app servers, web servers, database servers, and specifically database servers or information management part of IBM is where I belong to. There is queuing, information integration, business process, portal, etc. Now, of most of this, the WebSphere application server and DB2 form the core foundation of our middleware suite. So in a typical environment, you've got some web servers or HTTP servers running in front of WebSphere application server, an array of WebSphere application servers, and in the back end you would have a DB2 server or couple of DB2 servers running in a high availability cluster kind of a configuration. So that's the environment we said, okay, here's what it makes sense to put out in the cloud using this RightScale dev and test application package. So DB2 Express C is actually the free version of DB2. So free in the sense that you can use it for development purposes, you can use it for testing purposes, and you can also use it for free for production if that's what you want to do. The only thing is that you cannot call up IBM in the middle of the night and get support for it, whereas the rest of the stack here, DB2 Express, Workgroup, Enterprise, and Advanced Enterprise editions of DB2 are the ones that give you 24/7 support as well as some additional capability and features and ability to run on bigger servers. But nonetheless, it's all the same code base, whether you're using DB2 Express C or you're using DB2 Advanced Enterprise. If you develop an application to run with DB2 Express C and tomorrow you put it into production back in your own data center, so this is, you could be running DB2 Express C on the cloud to do development, and then that application you take back into your own data center in your own private cloud. Without any changes to that application, you can run it against, say, DB2 Advanced Enterprise. So it's basically the same code base, the same product. It's in fact, most of the packaging of the product is all the same as well. It's just that some of the files, just to make it more compact, might be missing in Express C. But even then, some of the functionality is built in, and that gets enabled by the license keys of these other higher product editions. And for ISVs and other vendors who are looking to embed the database as part of their solutions, you can include DB2 Express C for free and ship it as part of your product without having to pay any royalties or fees to IBM. And if you wanted to move up the stack, well, it's very easy to go from DB2 Express C to DB2 Express, basically for as little as about $2,000 a year subscription, or you pay a one-time charge of $6,000 and 20% maintenance every year. And that would get you a little bit more capacity in terms of resources, as well as it gets you high availability and disaster recovery clustering. So you could have a 2-node cluster which would automatically fail over in the event of a disaster. And these two servers could be geographically situated. So you could have one server running on US East and another server running in the European cloud center. And then again, there's DB2 Workgroup, which utilizes up to 64 gigs of RAM and 16 cores. And then the DB2 Enterprise Edition, which has basically no limits and comes with a lot of other enhanced functionality. In terms of licensing and running DB2 in the cloud, well, of course, you can do it for free if you want, using offerings like DB2 Express C, where we have both, you can download DB2 Express C and install it and create your own image if you want, or you can take the pre-built templates, RightScale server templates from IBM. You could use those that are based on DB2 Express C. If you want to do it directly on Amazon, we have DB2 AMIs available. Now, if you wanted to pay by the hour, there is an option for that as well. So on Amazon actually offers DB2 based images for DB2 Express and DB2 Workgroup, starting as little as, I think, 38 cents an hour for a small instance. And that 38 cents, or was it 36.5 cents, I forget, includes the DB2 license for running DB2 for that 1 hour. It includes the operating system, the Enterprise Linux operating system subscription, and it also includes the Amazon EC2 instance charge, the 8.5 cents or so. So pretty, pretty low cost to get started, whether you use the free ones or pay by the hour. Now, a lot of our enterprise customers, they have enterprise-wide agreements with IBM, and as part of that enterprise-wide agreement, they're allowed to deploy unlimited number of licenses of DB2 within their organization. Well, what we've said is that you can extend your organization to be a public cloud as well. So if you're running DB2 in the public cloud and you already have a license for it in-house, well, you can move that license from in-house to off-site, and you don't have to pay us anything more. You already have a license for it. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you license not only just DB2, but also other IBM middleware for use in the cloud. Now, moving back to database stack as part of the RightScale Dev and Test Pack. Typically in development mode, you have a single server where the developer is doing the testing, and that single server contains the app server. It's going to contain the database itself as well. When you move to a test environment, you want to have a little bit more realistic scenario of how it's going to be used in production. So you put a load balancer in front. The app server tier is, it could be 2 different servers or 3 different servers running the app server. And then you have a database in the backend. And so here you have, instead of 1 server with everything in it, you've got 4 servers with different things in it. And then when you go into a production environment, well, you might have a couple of load balancers in the front for high availability purposes, for example. You would have an array of the app servers. So anywhere from 2 to 5 to 10 application servers running in that middle tier. And then on the back end, you'd have a database, but not just a single database for high availability purposes. You want to have at least a cluster with 2 databases where your information is being synchronized across the 2 or replicated across the 2. So this typical configuration is what we've taken with the DB2 and the WebSphere application server stack and made it available on RightScale. So another neat thing that RightScale provides is this clone functionality. With a click, you can clone your deployment, and the deployment, which includes your entire stack, the database server, the app server, the load balancers. So if you want to go from, say, a test environment to a production environment, you could easily clone that. Or if you want to create another copy of your development environment, or if you want to go from production back to test for some changes that you're doing to a database schema, you could easily do that with the clone option. There's a couple of considerations that you need to keep in mind. So here, in a typical DB2 environment on RightScale, what we do is attach two EBS volumes, one for storing the database configuration information, and the other one for storing your data. Well, it could be two or more. Sometimes you want to have more volumes for your data. In a on-site environment, what you typically end up doing is, if you want to improve your I/O rates, if you improve your disk access for the database, you would take a single database and you would stripe it across multiple physical hard drive spindles. So that way your data is being accessed from the drive in parallel in shorter amount of time. So that same concept could apply to the cloud as well. Is if you want to improve your database performance, you could mount multiple EBS volumes, for example, and have your data across those EBS volumes. Now, of course, it would be better that, down the line, if cloud vendors like Amazon have some guaranteed I/O rates and automatically take care of the striping for you. So that would be a neat feature to add, and it's on our wish list to Amazon. Let's see when they implement it. So until that happens, you'd have to do this manually. So when you want to clone a server, well, RightScale takes care of creating that app server for you. When you press that clone button, it takes care of cloning that database server for you as well. But what you need to do manually today, at least, is take a snapshot of this EBS volume, take a snapshot of the second EBS volume, and from that snapshot, create new EBS volumes that you're going to put in your clone environment, and then attach those EBS volumes to your database server that you launch up for the next time. What we're working on is using that clone button. All of this happens automatically for you, that you don't have to manually take the snapshots and attach those new EBS volumes to your new deployment that has been cloned. So what can you do with the development and test stack that we've provided through RightScale? Well, the most obvious option is you build on cloud and you deploy on cloud. You could also build in-house and deploy on cloud. And what has become sort of reality lately, using some of the new technology from RightScale, is the ability to build on cloud but deploy on-premise into your own private cloud or in your own data center. And this is typically the trend that we are seeing for our enterprise customers, is that they might be comfortable with developing and testing on the cloud, but really for production, they want to go back to their on-site data center or their own private cloud. And so this is the neat thing about RightScale, is this multi-cloud management platform where you can have your environment set up so that you just punch a hole through your firewall, and then you're able to take, using the RightScale management interface, you can manage both the public cloud interfaces as well as private cloud in your own data center. So that becomes really, really a powerful feature for some of our enterprise customers. An example of a utilization of this development and test pack from RightScale using the IBM DB2 and WebSphere stack is this company called Retlon that does basically supply chain optimization. And they've been very pleased with it. This has been launched only a few weeks ago. Excuse me. And we're already getting some positive feedback from some of our users who've been trying out RightScale and DB2 and WebSphere on the cloud on Amazon EC2, and then looking to move that infrastructure into the private clouds as well. So basically, to summarize, development and test makes a lot of sense when you're doing it on the cloud. It helps you take those unutilized servers and put them on the cloud where you're just paying as you're going, so you don't really have to pay for the unutilized resources. And IBM has partnered with RightScale to help our clients accelerate this development and test cycle and to reduce the costs. And we've had no-charge templates for DB2 Express C and WebSphere CE available to help you get started very quickly. We also have the Ruby on Rails templates for DB2 at no charge. And if you decide that you would want to get IBM support, etc., we'd be happy to enable you very, very quickly to move on to other editions of DB2 as it makes sense for you.